Shop the price and not the destination. He is always waiting like a week to the day he's traveling. Those are the times that flights tend to be cheaper. Travel of season. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shalom and I film about travel and everything related. If you are just tuning in for the first time, please like, subscribe, and you can also check out my previous videos I've filmed about travel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about essential travel tips for 2025. Travel season has officially begun. If you are thinking of traveling, if you are planning your traveling already, these are tips that you should put in mind before doing anything serious. Essential tips that you need to put into consideration while planning your 2025 trip. Number one thing that you need to note is make your bookings in advance. I am a sucker for making bookings in advance. Whenever I'm traveling, I always make my bookings like 3 months or 4 months prior to the time I am going, because number one, I get to save a lot of money when I book in advance, especially flights. Flights are cheaper when you book earlier, and I also get to save on hotels. The good hotels tend to get filled up quickly, so the earlier you make your bookings, the easier it is, or the more guaranteed it is for you to get good hotels in the city that you're going to. Another tip that you need to consider when making your bookings is include breakfast in your hotel reservation. Before, I used to think that hotel breakfasts were overpriced and I did not always include breakfast in my reservations, but I realized that sometimes I always end up spending more than the price that the hotel said their breakfast is when I have breakfast outside. And also the stress having to, wake up and then start thinking about where do I want to eat breakfast, and you have to like walk down to the cafe and all that stress. You want to save yourself all that stress of thinking about what you eat in the morning when you are traveling. So it's best to include breakfast in your hotel reservation. The last thing you want to stress about is where to eat and what to eat when you're traveling. Only if you have dietary restrictions, then you can maybe not go for the hotel breakfast. But if you do not, it is very advisable, or I would recommend that you include breakfast in your hotel reservation. And sometimes it could be cheaper to have breakfast in your hotel. If you are still watching, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. So, another thing to consider when planning your trip in 2025 is travel off season. I am such an off-season traveler. I prefer to travel when there are lesser tourists in the places I'm going to than when there are many people out there. When schools are no longer in session, you won't see me traveling when schools are not in session. I prefer to travel in those months that maybe people are back to work, kids are back to school, there are lesser lines and there are lesser people, there are lesser crowd in the public. And I prefer to travel off season, like months like January, February, October. I really love traveling in October. Another important travel hack for 2025 is book your flights in advance. I know I said it earlier in the video, but I'm reiterating. Book your flights in advance. You save a lot of money. I have a friend that never books his flight in advance. He is always waiting like a week to the day he's traveling. That's when he books his flights. I'm like, yo, you could have saved yourself a lot of money if you have booked in advance. So yeah, book your flights in advance. Also, book your flights on a Tuesday or on a Thursday. Flights tend to be cheaper on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the night. Another thing to note is that it is cheaper to fly out on Sunday, Tuesday, or Thursdays, and also return on either of those days. flights tend to be cheaper on Sunday. If I'm not flying out on Sunday, I'm flying out on Tuesday, I'm flying out on Thursday, because those are the times that flights tend to be cheaper. If you are flying out on a Monday, your flight is definitely going to be expensive. Only if it's something that you cannot avoid, that's when you should fly out on a Monday. But if it's something you can move around, I would advise you fly out on a Tuesday. Another important hack is book the first flight out. Even though you're flying out on a Tuesday, or you're flying out on a Sunday, or you're flying out on a Thursday, it is important to book the first flight out. The first flight of the day tends to be cheaper than the flights that come in the afternoon, and also the last flight of the day also tends to be cheaper. So when I'm traveling, I always fly out very early. So sometimes I end up not sleeping, and I end up sleeping on the plane because I decided to book the first flight out. Another important thing to note is plan your activities in advance. Whenever I'm traveling to a country or a new city, I always plan my activities in advance. I know what I'm doing on each particular day. The day I'm doing a city tour, the day I'm going to a museum, I plan everything. I always have like a mood board for all the things that I'm going to be doing while on vacation. So how my fashion girlies that love to travel, plan your outfits in advance. All the outfits that I'll wear on vacation, I usually put them on the mood board. I put them together. Is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? And I go shopping if need be. But plan your outfits around your activities. You want to make sure that you're wearing something comfortable when you are doing a particular activity. For instance, let's say you're going horse riding. It will be bad to plan skirts for horse riding. So make sure that your activities fit your outfits and vice versa. Go ahead and click the like button and also subscribe if you are still watching up to this point. Thank you for still watching. Another important hack is budgeting. You need to have a good budget. Budget. I always work with a budget. I plan my activities around a budget. If I see that some of my activities are way above my budget, I'm going to reduce what I'm doing, or maybe check up some things on my list so that I'll be able to afford some things. And it's also important to save in advance for your trip. I always say that I make use of opportunity cost and scale of preference when I'm traveling. Like, I always deny myself a lot of things. Oh my god, all my Chick-fil-A's a lot of Chick-fil-A money has gone into buying flight tickets. So yeah, I do a lot of opportunity cost and scale of preference. There's no one that does economics more than a budget traveler. Okay, for those ones who have passport flexibility, I would say shop the price and not the destination. If you have a good passport, you can decide to go somewhere based on the price of the ticket. I wish I had that flexibility of shopping the price and not the destination. For instance, let's say Miami to Belize is $500 including return ticket, and Miami to Doha is 1,000 including return ticket. Hypothetically, I would rather go to Belize than go to Qatar because I am shopping the price and not the destination. I don't know if it makes sense. It's travel math. Travel math is shopping the price and not the destination. That brings me to the end of this video. Thank you very much for staying and watching up to this point. I hope that you make use of these hacks and tips when you're planning your travels for 2025, and I wish you all the very best in your travel this year.